Hey everybody, John from the Crafting Brothers here. Welcome back to the channel. I have been scouring the internet for a new build, something challenging, yet not too big. And I stumbled across this image. I'll put the picture up for you here. And I just found this thing to be so cool. It's actually an abandoned pirate's defensive turret, I guess you could call it. And just the detail of it really struck me, and I thought this is something I want to recreate and build out of foam and whatever else I could find. So what I'm going to be building today is actually the tower portion of this right here. This other part of the build was something I created for a wizard's tower. In fact, that's right here. I did this a while ago, and what's really cool is these parts are interchangeable. So I can have this and use this bottom platform, or I can put on my tower here and use that for another scene or part of your game. So that's one thing I like about this build. And of course, I try not to make things so complicated. And when I saw that picture, I'm thinking something like a Gatorade bottle is going to be the perfect thing to build this tower out of. So I've got a couple of these laying around. Let's cut them up. I've got some extra foam bricks. So let's get right to it, and I'll show you how I built this really cool pirate's tower. As usual, I like to use simple materials, and for this tower, I'm going to start with an empty Gatorade bottle and just put some cardstock around it, and then I'm going to glue some of my pre-made bricks around the outside. After all the bricks are glued on, I'm going to use my soldering iron with tin foil to melt the outside and give the bricks some texture. To give this tower some height, I'm going to use an additional Gatorade bottle and just glue that on top of the other one. Again, all I'm doing here is just cutting some cardstock out, and then I'll hot glue it to the Gatorade bottle. So after melting all the texture into the foam, I'm going to go ahead and cut the top off this and get it ready for the platform that's going to go on top. Now to cut these circles, what I'm doing is just using a jig made out of wood with a nail in it, and then I can cut all of the angles that I want into the platform pieces. So after gluing the two platform pieces together, all I need to do now is put some texture on this and my brick pattern. So here I've cut some XPS foam strips about a ½ an inch thick, and I'm using my soldering iron and tin foil to put some brick texture on here, and I'm going to use this for the staircase on the tower. Admittedly, creating this spiral staircase around the tower is going to be a challenge, but I just have to eyeball these pieces, cut them out, and glue them all together around the curve of the tower. Okay, here we are making progress on the staircase here. I've pre-cut all of my steps here that I've already textured with my soldering iron and tin foil, and now I'm just gluing these together. I started using my handheld hot wire cutter to shape the outside of this staircase, but found that it's just not getting hot enough and going through the glue. So I switched to my tabletop hot wire cutter, and that seemed to do the job. By the way, always pay attention to your soldering iron or your glue gun. I took my eyes off this for a minute and I just melted into the top of my dome, but I will be able to fix that with some spackle. Okay, so now it's time to glue this staircase on, and it's going to be a little bit tricky, but I'm going to start at the top and work my way down, and I should be able to get this to fit pretty tight around the tower. Next, what I'm going to do on the top here is put a brick pattern on the top of the platform. And you'll see by looking at the picture, this is actually underneath the stones that are going to be laid on top of this. Next, I'm going to glue the bricks that form the top of the castle turret here, and then I'll start finishing up the details on the top of this platform. After finishing the bricks around the top of the tower, I'm going to start working on these thinner slate pieces that I'm going to lay over the other brick pattern. So again, looking at the original image, you can see that I need to cut a circle around here to expose the brick underneath. And to do that, I'm just going to grab my compass and draw a circle, and then I'll just trim the top layer of the bricks off. Okay, so now at this point I've got all my texture on the tower. Now I need to just go back and, using a pen or a pencil, draw in the brick lines again. After that, I'm going to be needing a substantial amount of wood planks. So I'm just going to cut up some XPS foam, and using my brick texture roller, I'm going to put the wood grain in the foam. As usual with my wood planks, I start with a coat of Mod Podge and black paint, then a coat of golden brown, then I go over that with the Liquitex brown acrylic ink. After that, I'm ready to paint the main tower, so again I'm going to start with the Mod Podge black paint, then I'm going to go with a pewter gray and maybe a tan to sort of mix up the finishes here. I decided that the stairs and the top part of the tower would look better with the pewter gray and give a good contrast to the tan color. Okay, so after the primary paint job is done, now I'm going to turn my attention to all of the wood detail that goes into the top of the platform. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky, but if you look at the images, I just kind of know what I have to recreate, and I will do my best. I've had these wood shingles laying around for a long time and I use them for everything now. So this is going to become the platform on the top here. So I'm just going to cut my pieces and glue them on. So doing the roof part is going to be a little bit tricky, but I'm going to try my best here to just glue some angled pieces on. Then I'm going to use some cross braces, and I will hot glue the shingles on top of that. So let's see how that goes. I had some old oil-based stain, so I just decided to use that for all the wood platforms and shingles. I've chosen to use a granite gray for my dry brush over most of the structure, and I'm also going to use a white over that to just enhance some of the brick pattern. I'm ready to start making the wood handrails for the staircase here, and there's no right or wrong way to do this. I'm just sort of winging it and cutting the angles, and hopefully it will all work out in the end. Now I'm ready to apply my final wash, and I've chosen to use my Liquitex Black, which has a little bit of brown ink in it, and that should give it the finish I'm looking for. After the wash, I'm going to concentrate on some of the details on top of the platform here, and one of those is to make these little wood fences on top that divide up the wood platform. And to do this, I'm using my wood grain stamp along with a hammer to imprint this Dollar Tree foam. After recreating those miniature fences, I went ahead and printed out some other items on my 3D printer, including a cannon, a couple of barrels, and crates, and a treasure chest. Another detail I wanted to make sure I added were these metal rings which were used to hold rope, and here I've just used a chain instead. Finally, I wanted to include some vines on the side of this tower, so I'm unraveling some twine here to get the individual strands, and then I'm going to start gluing some flocking to it. Once I get the strands unraveled the way I want, I'm just going to hit it with some of this adhesive spray, and making sure to use a fresh piece of paper, I'm going to lay this down and apply my flocking. If you forget to change the paper with the glue on it, you're going to lose a lot of flocking, so make sure you use a fresh piece. And we're going to need to apply this in several layers here because one coat's not going to be enough. So just keep going over it and apply the flocking that you want until you get the look that you need. And here is the final result. I think the ivy looks great growing up the side of the tower, and all the miniatures I created on the 3D printer work perfectly here. That's going to do it for now. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned. We'll be back with more cool builds next week.